Let me start, huh? What should I say in Khasi Donbok, ma? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today I'm going to discuss optical activity of compound. Okay. So yesterday I told you that what is optically active compound? That is those compounds which rotate the path of plane polarized light. We rotate the path of plane polarized light when monochromatic light passes through their solution. They are called optically active. And if the light is being monochromatic light is being deviated towards right, those compounds we call them as dextrorotatory compounds. In Latin, dextro means right. And those which deviate the path of light towards left or anti-clockwise is called levorotatory compound. So in how do we symbolize them? For dextro we put small d, or within bracket we put plus. And for levo we put minus sign within bracket or a small l. Next. All right. Now, what is the condition for a compound to be optically active? Okay. Necessary condition for a compound to be active. The necessary for a compound to be active is that it must have a asymmetric center or chiral center. It must have asymmetric center or chiral center. Asymmetrically, you know, but this word chiral again is being taken from the Latin word. See, this word chiral has originated from the word P-A-R-O, chiro. Now, what is chiro? Oh. See, look at this. How many fingers I have here? Hello? 5. Very good in counting. Achha. Now see, do you feel all of them look alike or are they different? Is same or different? The fingers, 5 fingers?
Different, sir.
Very good. And where the finger is being connected? Finger is being connected to our palm. Is it not? So in Latin or Greek, this is called chiro. This portion is called chiro. So please remember, often we go to astrologer, na? So to know what is our fate, okay? So the book or the subject which they study, though you call it astrology, this is also known as chirology because they study our palm. Clear? Huh? So this is being taken for from there on. Now, what is an asymmetric center? See, in organic, whenever you deal with the organic compound, we call that center to be asymmetric carbon. But I told you that optical activity is not at all restricted to organic molecules. There are so many inorganic molecules are also there. So generally, when you go for a open statement, we say optical asymmetric center. But when we are going to discuss our organic molecule, we'll say asymmetric carbon or chiral carbon. Okay? So how should I define asymmetric carbon? See, carbon has a valency of 4. Okay? So first condition is that asymmetric carbon should be a sp3 carbon. Okay? Sumna, so asymmetric carbon should be a sp3 carbon. All right. And second, if all four valencies, if all four valencies should be satisfied by different atoms or groups. Different atoms or groups. All of them should be different. Okay. So how can I draw asymmetric carbon atom? See here. Asymmetric carbon atom. This is capital C. This is small a. This is small b. I will not put C here because you may have confusion. D and it is E. So this carbon is, first of all, this is sp3 carbon, because in organic molecule you can have sp3 carbon, sp2 carbon and sp carbon. Please remember, sp2 and sp carbon will never be asymmetric. It should be sp3. All right. And here all of them are same, are different. That is, how can I write now here? A is not equal to B, B is not equal to D, and D is not equal to E. So if anyone asks you the definition of symmetric carbon, you write. Because in your book, very interestingly, this is not mentioned. So it should be a sp3 carbon, and if all four valencies should be satisfied by different atoms or groups. Yes? Now, asymmetric carbon in a molecule, whenever you write the structure of the molecule, asymmetric carbon is being indicated by putting a star, or we call it asterisk. The moment it is being put, you know this carbon is asymmetric carbon, or this carbon is chiral star. Clear? So let us try to write down and of the structure of a actual molecule. See here. There are so many things to be discussed. First, I will write down where all of them are atoms. Say I have taken here chlorine, bromine, fluorine, and hydrogen. Look, here all the atoms which are bonded to the carbon are different. So this molecule is optically active. Then it will rotate the light towards right, and is going to rotate the light towards left. I will draw everything for from this. Okay? So this carbon is asymmetric. So what will be the name of this one? No problem. We'll go writing in alphabetical order. We'll write bromo, chloro, fluoromethane. All right? Now, so let me write another molecule. Let me write another molecule. Sometimes the question comes in the entrance exam. Write down an optically active hydrocarbon with smallest number of atoms. Okay? So let me write. Moment is for hydrocarbon. So it should be a compound of carbon and hydrogen. Okay, dear? So I'll put the symmetric carbon here. Okay? So what I'll do now? I'll write here now. This is, I put H. Obviously, I have to put here C, and I have to put here C, and I also have to put here. I cannot put H here. If I put H here, then these two are same. So this will not be asymmetric. All right. Now, what should I write now here? Look, should I try to understand? I write here C. Then I can write here CH2, CH3. Then I can write here CH2, CH2, CH2. See now, this is hydrogen atom, this is methyl, this is ethyl, and this is propyl. Okay, so this is one molecule I can write. But they have put a condition. What is their condition? it should have the least number of atoms. So moment I put least number of atoms, then I have to do some modification. What modification you will do? See here. So I will try to change it little. Okay. So I write here CH double bond CH2. See, this group is different from this. And this also I will change it. I write here. See, is it not this molecule is having the minimum number of carbon and hydrogen? So this is for your information. This is the first molecule of the hydrocarbon which is oxygenated. Hydrocarbon, no other atom. Okay? So please remember. Okay. Now, so let me take a molecule with functional group. This molecule, often you will get it. Especially you will get it in biology. Okay. See here. This is a hydroxycarboxylic acid. What is the name? IUPAC name of this one? Anyway, you need not tell because you know. Early in the morning, if someone wants to tease you, he can ask you that. Tell me the IUPAC name. So I don't want to tease you in the morning. Let your day be very fine and good. Okay. See here. 1, 2, 3. So in second position you have OH group. Both of them are functional group. It is the highest priority. The molecule will be named after this. So the name of the compound is 2-hydroxypropanoic acid. Okay. Now, as this molecule you get from the nature. All right. So in that case, you will find its name is lactic acid. Have you heard about lactic acid? Have you heard?
Yes, sir.
Where do you get lactic acid? Where? Lactic acid is found in milk. Okay. Now, see here. So this is lactic acid. So if you make a solution of lactic acid in water, and if you pass the light, then you will find is one of the isomer will turn the light towards right. So if it is like this, what should I write? I can write here D or plus lactic acid. So this is dextrolactic acid. Okay. Now it is also going to have another isomer. All right. So this isomer is going to have another isomer. So please don't feel that he will hold the molecule and twist it. No. These structures you cannot change it. Okay. So you will find in that case this isomer of lactic acid is going to turn the right towards left hand side, and the deviation will be exactly equal. Say suppose it turns the light towards right by 50 degrees. This is also going to turn the light towards left, opposite 50 degrees. Okay. So what should I call it? I call it L or minus lactic acid. Now see, I told you you get it in nature only. So this lactic acid is found in male. Okay, but this lactic acid is found in muscle. So suppose certainly you have gone for jogging or you have done a lot of work at home, which is very unusual for you people. In that case, your muscle pain or not. You find next day morning you are not able to walk also. In that case, in the muscle it forms. This is formed by the incomplete oxidation of glucose. You get it. Okay, you get two isomers. This is a dextro isomer and the levo isomer. Okay. Suppose if I take this molecule and put on the top of it, is it superimposable? Hello? Are the two molecules superimposable? Okay, think that this is this one. This is levulactic acid and this is the dextrolactic acid. If I put it, is it superimposable? Or you can see them distinctly. They are not superimposable. So these two structures are not superimposable. But if I put a mirror in between them, dear, what is your observation? Tell something, huh? If I put a mirror in between them, do you find any similarity? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What similarity is there? What is the similarity?
Structure.
They are the mirror images of each other. Is it not? Huh? They are the mirror images of each other. So these two isomers are called enantiomers. Enantiomer. Okay, what about my manager today also? He has not come or what? Manager is there. Huh? Hey, Dristy.
No, sir. Absent.
Dristy has not joined.
No, sir.
What happened today?
I don't know, sir.
So ঘৰত গৈ তাক 200 লগাই আহিবিচোন. See here. This is dextro. This is levo. Okay, they are not superimposable each other, but they are the mirror images of each other. Clear? So in that case, if this question comes, you have to define. Of course, in CBSE the definitions are hardly asked, but in emboss is very famous for definition, because emboss is every kind board, and emboss, the M does not stand for Meghalaya; it stands for Mahatma Gandhi. All right, we are all followers of Gandhi, and we do not harm students. So in that case, what is the definition of enantiomer? Enantiomer, they are of a compound of the enantiomer of the same compound. You cannot be of the other. Just like twin, you can have from the same mother. You cannot have twins from two different mothers. Enantiomers are the optical isomers which are not superimposable, but they are the mirror images of each other.
Sir, can you repeat?
Oh, you need to write it. Write down.
Yes.
Enantiomer. Right. Those optical isomers of a those optical isomers of a compound which are not superimposable is one word. Superimposable on each other, but are mirror images of each other, are called enantiomers. Okay, I'll just do a little bit of correction. So we'll write those optical isomers which are not superimposable. Don't write each other there. Which are not superimposable, but are mirror images of each other, are called enantiomers. Clear? All right. Now, dear, this one says, I'll write here now, alpha D. See, this is called specific rotation. Okay, specific rotation. How the specific rotation is being calculated? Specific rotation, alpha D is calculated like this. See, this is the actual rotation that you get it from that instrument where you measure it. Okay, the instrument which you measure to deviation of the light is called polarimeter. So this one you get it from polarimeter. It's very easy. It just looks like a binocular only. Okay, alpha and divided by C into L. What is C? C is nothing but the concentration. Okay, concentration of solution. You should know a little bit for the entire of solution. How do you express it? We express it in the form of molar solution, molar. Okay, so assume it is 1 molar. And what is L? L is the length of the solution. Now, how do you measure the length of the solution, dear? No problem. I told you that I will put one tube. Okay, so the length of the tube we consider as 10 centimeter. Okay, but mind it, I had been telling also in class 7, whenever you use the word specific, that it means we have fixed something there, and if I can convert everything into 1, then it is easy for our calculation. So how to convert 10 centimeter into 1? Is it not 10 centimeter is equal to 1 decimeter? So length of the solution can I rub it? Okay. See here. L is the length of the solution is nothing but the length of the tube is equal to 10 centimeter or 1 decimeter. So this will be 1, this will be 1, this will be alpha. So this is called specific rotation. Okay. Suppose this one is having, I actually forgot. Assume that it is plus 33 degrees. Then this will be minus 33. Clear? So in that case, when I take pure D lactic acid, I will get this one. When I take pure L lactic acid, I will get this one. But if I mix both of them in same amount, what is going to happen? Will there be any rotation in the solution? See, this is the path of the light. Dextrolactic acid pushes to the right hand side. Lactic acid will push you to the left hand side. So when you put both of them in same amount, then what you are going to get? The light will pass undeviated. Okay. So that mixture of that mixture is known as racemic mixture. Racemic. Okay. So this is called racemic. So racemic mixture should contain what? Racemic mixture should contain equal amount of both the enantiomers, which makes the solution optically inactive. You can write down. Racemic mixture, right? It is a mixture containing equimolar amount of both the enantiomers, by which the solution becomes optically inactive. All right. In your book, only this much is written. But if you don't mind, I'll go little further. Okay? Little further. So now we are being told.
Sir,
Yes.
electrically 1, optically 1. Sir, becomes electrically 1, optically 1.
Receiving mixture is which contains equimolar amount of both the enantiomers, by which the solution becomes optically inactive. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see. So now we have learned that if the compound has to be optically active, we should have an asymmetric carbon or chiral carbon. And what is a chiral carbon? The carbon whose all 4 valencies are satisfied by different attention groups. All right. So this is the condition. But we'll come across some molecule where these asymmetric carbons are there, but the compounds are not optically active. Okay. Now I'm going to write another molecule. This I am writing for your entrance exam. Okay. See, in your book they have written so less. Okay, dear. This is known as tartaric acid. Tartaric acid. Have you heard about tartaric acid? Huh?
Yes,
Tartaric
sir.
acid. Tartaric acid is
Sir.
found in tamarind, imli.
Hmm.
Okay? What do you say in Khasi? Imli?
Sokun toy.
Talking to him, what? Very
What?
good. Okay. Okay, now see here. I'll tell you. After writing the molecule, if you can find out how many asymmetric carbon you have, from there theoretically you can predict the number of optical isomers. So before this one, please write down in your copy. Number of optical isomers. Number of optical isomers. Okay? And put one equal sign. Then you write 2 to the power n. 2 to the power n. Okay? Where n is equal to number of asymmetric carbon atoms or asymmetric center or chiral center. See, initially in lactic acid, how many asymmetric carbon we had? Only one. So 2 to the power 1 is what? 21. Is it not? Hello?
2.
Oh, 2 are very good. So in that case, we had one dextrolactic acid and one levolactic acid. Look here. How many asymmetric carbon you have? This is not possible because this is sp2 carbon, this is sp2 carbon, this is sp3, this is sp3. See here, this carbon is bonded to OH group, carboxyl group, hydrogen, and entire group. So in that case, this is asymmetric. Similarly here, this is bonded to carboxylic acid, hydrogen, OH group, and entire group. So this is also asymmetric carbon atom. So how many isomers we should have? 2 to the power 2, that is we are supposed to have 4 optical isomers. So I am going to draw. Okay? So I will draw it by permutation combination method. That you also can draw it. Your drawing and handwriting is much better than me. What to do? This see here. So we have, is it not all of them are different? So we have now 4 optical isomers. So I write it A, then I write it B, then I write it C, and I write it D. All right. So I should have written it here, but I thought that if I write it here, you will not be able to see, so I did not write it. See here, is it not this A and B are the mirror images of each other? They are mirror images of each other. Okay. So this is the dextro isomer, and this is the levo isomer. But you can say, sir, how do you know dextro and levo? Actually, you are correct only. We cannot predict. It's not like geometrical isomers. Looking at the structure, you can say cis and trans. But you know, human beings, when they cannot find anything, then they put their own method. They will put a law that will say, no, I say this, you have to agree. That you have to in your house also. Many times you cannot argue with your mother or your grandmother. What about they say this is the last and final rule, even if it's not being passed in parliament. Okay? See, then how to do? Whatever the OH groups are there now, we'll try to move the arrow towards this side. Okay? This is a conventional method, unscientific method, but we accept it. See here. So in which direction it moves? Is it not clockwise there? So because of that, we write here dextro. See here. Is it not anti-clockwise? So I put here minus. Now look, these two are mirror images of each other. So this is called dextrotartaric acid. This is called levotartaric acid. Now look here. If I put the same concept, what will happen? You know the upper part is rotating the light towards right, and the lower part is rotating the light towards left. So what is going to happen? It will cancel each other. Very interestingly, see, this compound has two asymmetric carbon atoms because at the beginning I told you this is a necessary condition for a compound to be optically active. Now I am saying that it does not rotate the light. Why? So upper part of the molecule challenges the lower part, and in that case the rotation of light does not take place. So this is a very old concept. We said this compound is optically inactive. Similarly, this compound is also optically inactive. But now we do not go by this theory of internal compensation and external compensation. Here we say this compound, even though it has a symmetric carbon atom, but it has a symmetry in the molecule. Symmetry in the molecule. Okay? What is the symmetry? See here. If I pass a plane, a mirror plane, then is it not the upper half is a reflection of lower half? So it has a mirror plane of symmetry. Mirror plane of symmetry. Because of this molecule is not optically active. So now we cannot say that each and every molecule having a symmetric carbon atom should be optically active. Yes, it should have. But if the molecule is having any symmetry, then what are the symmetry you can have? You can have three types of symmetry. One is called the plane of symmetry, or generally we call it mirror plane. You can have center of inversion. That is, if you take a reflection of the molecule, and this reflection of the molecule, okay, is just like the original one, in that case, we will say this is a center of inversion. Clear? In that case, this molecule also will not be optically active. And it should have, it contains an axis of symmetry. Then what is the axis of symmetry there? Axis of symmetry is nothing but if you rotate the molecule by certain angle. So if the original and the after rotation, if it is same, in that case it is having a angle of symmetry. See here, suppose if I have passed an axis to the middle of the molecule and I rotate it by 180 degrees, what will happen? Is it not this part will go up and this part will come down? Is it not the same one? So in that case you will find this molecule also will not be optically active. So these two molecules are called meso compound. Meso. Okay? This meso compound. Anyway, this meso compound, somehow it is in CBSE book, it is not there. Okay? God is very kind to you, but in entrance exam, questions are not being set by God. They are being set by all cruel and jealous teachers. So in that case, you will have problems. So you should know this. So in this case, they are called meso compound. Second, you hear it very nicely. Look here. I told A and B are enantiomers. Suppose if these two are also optically active. If I put it here, is it not the mirror images of each other? So these two also should have been enantiomers. Now if I compare A and C, do they have any similarity? See, A and C, first of all, if I superimpose, they are not superimposable. If I put them side by side, are the mirror images?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Marega. If I put this one and here, do they have mirror images?
No, no.
No, sir.
Suppose I stand in front, suppose Aditi, she stands in front of mirror, and inside the mirror she found that it is not her image, my image has come. What will happen to her? She will immediately faint.
She'll start working out, sir.
Is it not? So in that case, we find that A and C, they are neither superimposable and they are mirror images of each other. So there. So in that case, see, if they are non-superimposable, but they are mirror images of each other, we call them as enantiomers. But in this case, see here, A and C, A and D, B and C, and B and D, they are not superimposable, neither they are mirror images of each other. And those type of structures are called diastereomers. They are called diastereomers. Yes. You should know. So what are the diastereomers we have here? A and C, A and D, B and C, and B and D. See, now we have learned another term. So please write down the definition of diastereomer. Okay? If you find my voice is not audible, or you can tell, you can give your expression. Because of that, we are having online discussion. I told you, classes are not religious disputes. I'm not a priest. Just whatever I say, you write down and you don't question me. Okay, I'm answerable to you. So please write down the definition, right? Those optical isomers which are neither superimposable nor mirror images of each other are called diastereomers.
You can please repeat.
Those optical isomers which are neither superimposable nor mirror images of each other are called diastereomers. Okay? So now, so I'm going to write one more example. And you'll find interestingly that compound does not have any asymmetric carbon atom, but still it is optically active. Still it is optically active. Okay? See here. This is an organic molecule. This is not a sunglass. Okay? This is called biphenyl. Please excuse me for my bad going, huh? See, this is not double bond here. Why did I do it like this? Means this phenyl ray is in the plane of the board, and this is 90 degree to the board. Clear? Very good. See here. Actually, you will find the molecules always rotate around the single. If the single bond is there, this is going to rotate, this is also going to rotate. All right, what happens now? Because of this group, rotation is being checked. So they remain like this. All right. Now see here, the rotation is being restricted. And this is all the carbon here are sp2. But you find strange, this compound is optically active. You know why? See here, this is the one. Huh? So I will stand like this. See, in that case, what is going to happen? This is this one, and this is like this. If I pass this, if I pass a mirror through this plane, what will going to happen? Is it not going to pass like this? You're going to pass like this. So do you feel the upper half is a reflection of lower half? If one plane passes like this, where this will be reflected to the down and this will go to the up, will it be same? No, it will not be same. Okay? This will be, see, if you stand in front of a water bottle, you do not find your head is below the water. So similarly, this will come down and this will go up. So in that case, before and after, the reflection images are not same. Now this is 90 degree to this. Okay? So this is 90 degree to this. When it goes like this, see, this is the front and this is the back. This will go to the back and this will come in the front. So after reflection also we find this is not same. Please remember, this compound does not have any asymmetric carbon atom, but this compound is optically active. So now see here, ultimately we have come to a point where we nullify our original theory. Original theory I have mentioned that the compound to be optically active, it must have asymmetric carbon atom, but we find this compound does not have an asymmetric carbon atom. So what is now the main conclusion? The main conclusion is that if a compound has to be optically active, whether it has asymmetric carbon atom or not, the molecule should not have any symmetry. It is the molecule as a whole, it should be chiral. Or in one word we say, the molecule should be dissymmetric. Anyway, this is beyond your textbook, but is necessary here for your entrance exam. Clear? So please remember, and because of that I told you I will have a separate class for it. All right?
Sir, can you repeat, sir?
Huh?
Can you repeat? Can you explain it again,
Yes,
sir?
it is. If a molecule has to be optically active, if a molecule has to be optically active, comma, whether it has asymmetric carbon atom or not, the molecule should never contain or should not contain, molecule should not contain any symmetry, should not contain any symmetry. That is, the molecule as a whole is asymmetric or chiral. The molecule as a whole should be asymmetric or chiral. Or dissymmetric. All right. So now where from we got this information of this optical activity? We got this information of optical activity from our SN1 reaction. I told you, see, already you have got the note. You will find in that one, it is written there that if a tertiary haloalkane is optically active, after the SN1 reaction, it gives us a racemic mixture. I'll show you now. Okay. So what is the name of this one? What is the name of this molecule? See here, we have to go How many carbon atoms are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On which carbon you have substitution? On the third carbon. So I'll write here now 3 bromo, 3 methyl, what? Hexane. See, this carbon is optically, this is asymmetric carbon, this compound will be optically active. Assume there that it rotates the light towards right. It will be left also, no problem. Okay? Now, here I have used, I'm going for SN1, so I will not write this reaction now, I will write it finally. So what is going to happen? We know in SN1 reaction, nucleophile cannot directly attack this carbon because it is being sterically crowded or is being obstructed from all sides. So this carbon and bromine bond will undergo heterolytic cleavage, means both the electrons will go to bromine, more electronegative. So now what we are going to get this step 1, no? This is step 1. CH2, CH2, CH3. Okay? This is CH3 and this is CH2 and okay. Say I have reacted this compound with potassium cyanide. So cyanide is a nucleophile. So I write now here CN minus. So I told you this is sp3 tetrahedral, this is sp2 is planar. So this molecule is like this. See here, like this. This is methyl, and this is propyl. This is the carbon, and this is the cyanide. So the cyanide will attack from left hand side, and the cyanide will attack from the right hand side. Clear? So in that case, is going to give you two compounds. So right now here CH2, CH2, CH3. See, this is left, huh? So in that case, cyanide will be here. So it will be CH2, CH3, and this is C. Now this is right. Okay, come on, ma. So this is CH2, CH2, CH3. See now, cyanide is attacked from right hand side. So right now here cyanide. This is ethyl group CH2, CH3, H. Okay, so I have got two. Look at this geometry here. Is it not mirror images of each other? Hello. Is it not mirror images of each other?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Yes. So if I compare the geometry, see here. Here on the right hand side I have bromine. Right hand side I have cyanide. So what should I say? I would say it is retention. And is it not opposite? Opposite or not? So we'll call it inversion. Inversion. So in that case, see, initially what did you take? We have taken here dextroisomer. So it may happen that this also may be dextro. And if it is dextro, what will happen? It will be levo. So see, I have started the reaction with a specific enantiomer. It will be either dextro or levo. In the reaction, what do I get? Do I not get the equal amount of both the enantiomers? So this solution will be optically active or not? This solution will not be optically active because it has formed a racemic mixture. So in that case, you are going to get a racemic mixture. Racemic mixture. All right. Because of that, I told you that if you in SN1 reaction, if you have started with an optically active compound, ultimately it goes for a racemic mixture, and that process is called racemization. That process is called racemization. Okay? Yes. So in your book, this is also there, the racemization. So this definition is right, or you can write from your book. I have given you a copy also. Anyway, you can write racemization. Please write down. Right. It is a process by which an enantiomer is being converted into a racemic mixture. Converted into a racemic mixture. All right. So now I think this is enough for optical activity. If you want to learn more, then this year to I only started the classes on few days back. We'll find some time to discuss something more for your entrance exam. Okay. So now we have already discussed the theory of nucleophilic substitution reaction. All right. And I have discussed thoroughly SN1 reaction, SN2 reaction, and also I have discussed the optical activity. Now I'm going to discuss about the examples of the nucleophilic substitution reaction. All right? Example of nucleophilic substitution reaction. So let me write now. R CH2 F. So if I treat it with aqueous potassium hydroxide, in that case, I will get here hydroxide is going to replace the halogen. I will get here RCH2 OH and that is from there. If you treat haloalkane, you will get here their corresponding alcohol. All right. So let me write here now CH3, CH2, Br. If I have taken here aqueous solution of potassium hydroxide, you will get here now ethanol. You get here ethanol and potassium bromide. Okay. Now if I see this is primary. If I have taken here secondary, in fact your book is totally silent about it. So now if I have gone for secondary, here theoretically you are correct. If you in exam also if you write, it will give you full marks. But please remember, in entrance exam they will not give you. Why? Moment you go for secondary is going to form a mixture of alcohols and alkanes. This will be measured. But small amount of alkene is also going to form. Or this I am going to discuss other discuss because of elimination. See here, you get small amount of this. In this exam, you need not write it in your school exam. But if you have taken tertiary haloalkane, tertiary, I told you in your book the example given is totally wrong in your SN1 reaction. This molecule never gives you alcohol. It gives you 100% of alkane. 100% of alkane. So in that case, what will happen? H and Br will go. So what you are going to get here? You get here CH3, CH, H, ABr plus H2O. You need not write, you can later on at home, you can see and you can write. So this is the reaction of potassium hydroxide with the halogen. All right. Now, so now let me write here the reaction of potassium bromide with potassium cyanide is very interesting for your school. See here, cyanide is a nucleophile. So in that case, what you will get? You get here CH3, CH2, Cn, and KBr. You get ethyl cyanide, or it's called propane nitride. But it's very interesting. If you have treated this one with silver cyanide, silver, you have already done in school. So what you are going to get here? CH3, CH2, but here you find it is bonded to nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen. You get here now silver bromide. This is called ethyl cyanide, and this is called ethyl isocyanide. Ethyl isocyanide. Okay, I think it is being already explained to you. No, just why does it? Look here, this one. See, potassium cyanide is a strong electrolyte. So you will get here. This is the one. You will get this. See, cyanide is a very interesting nucleophile. Cyanide. In this iron, you have two electron-rich centers. One is the carbon and one is the nitrogen. So the carbon can also attack, and the nitrogen is also can attack. It's just like us only. We have two hands. All right. So if you want to do anything, either you can use right or you can use left. Depending on the situation, we use right, or depending on the situation, we use left. So these are, the cyanide is also like this. So this type of nucleophiles are called ambidentate. Ambidentate nucleophile. Okay. Now, depending upon which medium and which reagent you have used, you will get this type of compound. So when I use potassium cyanide in water it undergoes 100% dissociation. So in that case, you will find, in such case, you will find here the carbon which attacks, not the nitrogen. Why you know? Because carbon-carbon bond are stronger than the nitrogen. So every reaction always tries to give you the best possible product, most stable product. So in that case, you will find this one will come, and you will get here RCH2 Cn. This is one. Now second, if I have taken, so okay, I'll write here. This is ionic, but this is silver cyanide is covalent. Most of the silver salts are covalent in nature. So what is going to happen? In this case, you find the dissociation is very slow. That is what is going to happen. You will find the silver is bonded to nitrogen like this. So in the solution, the carbon is not free. Then what is going to happen? In that case, you will find it is a nitrogen lone pair which is going to react. So I can write this one like this: AgC triple bond and RCH2Br. In this case, you will find this is a nitrogen which attacks and you get here now R CH2 and C plus AgBr. This is important for your exam. Okay? They may ask you, why does it happen? So in that case, you will write the silver cyanide is covalent in nature. In that case, the cyanide ion is not free, and the lone pair of the nitrogen takes part in the nucleophilic substitution reaction, resulting in the formation of isocyanide. Is everything there in that? Copy that note I have sent. From there you can write. All right. Now third, similar thing also will observe when we react this with potassium nitride. When you react with potassium nitride, you will find you are going to get here ONO plus K. Okay, K. So this bonded to oxygen. We call them as alkyl nitride. So I write it here only. How the potassium nitride looks like? Potassium nitride, though I write like this, it is the potassium salt of nitrous acid. See here. Potassium hydroxide reacts with, this is the structure of nitric acid. See. So it is like this. So potassium nitride will ionize to give you O and O. Look here, dear, this is also an embedden nucleophile. Embedden. Embedden nucleophile. So, in that case, what happens? When I do in potassium nitride, oxygen takes part in the nucleophilic substitution. So, in that case, you get alkyl nitride. But when I do this reaction with silver cyanide, AgCN, see here, you will get here RCH2 NO2 plus silver halide. Same thing here, see AgONO. This is covalent. So here, in this case, silver oxygen bond does not break. So in that case, this is a lone pair which reacts, and you get now here RCH2. Nitrogen is now bonded to carbon, and you get here AgBr. All right. So these are the example of the nucleophilic substitution reaction. Many nucleophilic substitution reactions are there. So I'll give you some examples. Okay. I'll take 10 more minutes. This lockdown is all going on now. This is a problem too. Okay. Now I go for the second type of reaction. We call it beta elimination reaction. Beta elimination reaction. What I can see here? This. This is alpha and this is beta. In beta elimination reaction, what happens? This molecule goes out. Okay. When it goes out, what do you get here? You get here now an unsaturated compound, or you get here corresponding. This goes out. This is called beta elimination reaction. This is it. That the living group goes from alpha carbon and the hydrogen goes from beta carbon. This is the reason for which we call it beta elimination reaction. See, HX, HCl, HBr, HI. We know they are all acidic. So how to remove acid from a molecule? Obviously, I have to use a base. So if I use a base, please see here. Again, here I'm use potassium hydroxide. In first case, I told you the potassium hydroxide is acting as a nucleoside. How can I use it? In that case, I'm going to get alcohol. So in that case, what you do? We make a solution of potassium hydroxide in ethanol. So we can say that when the haloalkanes are treated with alcoholic solution of potassium hydroxide, it undergoes a beta elimination reaction to form corresponding alkene. Clear? Alkene. So let me write here CH3, CH2, Br. Potassium hydroxide, alcoholic, so it will give me CH3, it will give me ethene. It will give me ethene, potassium bromide will react with HBr and you will get your potassium bromide and water. Clear? Now, look very carefully. Because it is a beta elimination reaction. See. Look. This carbon which contains living group, we call it alpha. Next carbon is what? Beta. So you have a beta on right hand side, you have a beta on left hand side. So hydrogen will go from both the carbon. So if this goes out, okay, if this goes out, then what should I get? If this, it goes from first and second carbon, so I will get now here CH3, CH2, this is third and fourth. This is second. I will get here this. And if the hydrogen goes from the third carbon, okay, it goes up from there, then what do I get? I get, this is the CH3, this is this carbon, this is this carbon, okay, this is CH3 and this is H. So you will get here two alkenes. See here, this alkene is more substituted. Means what? It has less hydrogen on the vinyl carbon. It has 3 and this is 2. Please remember, this alkene will be more in amount. We call it major. Why? Because it follows the Tate-Jeffs rule. Tate-Jeffs rule that in class 11 you have studied. That if you have, in an elimination reaction, if you have the possibility of formation of more than one alkene, the alkene which is more substituted is always will form in more in amount. The last example which I will give you now, okay, and this is there in your textbook is a question. See here. This is potassium hydroxide. Anyway, for your simplicity, I'll write here H, I'll write here H. Look there, this is alpha carbon. How many beta carbon it has? 1, 2, and 3. This is going to form, and all the beta carbon is having hydrogen. So it is going to form 3 alkane. This one and this one will go. What I'll get now here? I'll get CH, H, CH. This and this can go. So what I'll get now here? Will go. And this and this can go. Yes. So we are going to get 3. Which is more substituted? This is more substituted because these 2 carbon does not have any hydrogen. So this is the next. Okay. Thank you. I don't know when I'm going to meet you because I think some 26 I think to 29 lockdown is there and I cannot take the class from home. So let it be over, then I'll finish. I'll take I think 3 more days to finish it all. And if you have any questions, you can tell in. Or we can whatever we have done. If the class is going to be taken Monday, I'll at 8 o'clock we'll have one Google Meet. Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.